So good evening and welcome to TAPP Talk 64. This is number 64. My name's Phil Richards. I'm from TAPP Water here in Malta. We're the distributors in Malta, and you're very welcome to TAPP Talk Live number 64. And today we're going to be discussing the EcoPro and why this is the water filter that makes life easier in Malta. So we'll just wait for a few minutes, just a couple of minutes. Normally, we just wait for some people to join us from the different platforms that we're broadcasting to. So we broadcast live to Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Twitter all at the same time. So we have people joining us from the various platforms. And if you're catching the recording, you will be able to see us on Facebook and YouTube and those various other platforms. And you can subscribe on YouTube and get the notifications of when we're live, or also like the page on Facebook and you'll do the same. And tonight we're discussing the EcoPro, the water filter that makes life easier in Malta. So I can see there's some people joining us now, so we'll just wait for just a couple of minutes and some other people will join us. It was interesting, on the Facebook event, I think it was 95 people or something like that, interested in a water filter that makes life easier. Or perhaps just making life easier in Malta, because I think we're all after that, making life easier, saving a bit of money and stuff like that. So when we can do that, it's a really great thing. So if you're joining us live, thank you very much for joining us. And if you've got comments or questions, please do leave your comments and questions in the chat on whatever platform you're on. That could be Facebook, YouTube, or the StreamYard platform from our blog, or LinkedIn, and also Twitter as well. So just pop your questions in, or just if you're a customer already, or if you're just looking at TAPP Water and seeing what you think, just pop questions in, say hi if you'd like to, say where you're from. And we're just waiting for a couple more people to join us, and then we'll get into what we're talking about tonight, which is the TAPP EcoPro and why it makes life easier. So life in Malta has some complications for sure, and one of the things that we have as complications is the BCRS scheme, which from a tap water point of view is doing a great job because we are using less plastic bottles. So tap water, really our mission in Malta is to eliminate 10 million plastic bottles a year from Malta. 10 million plastic bottles a year would be 10,000 households using tap water products, for instance, and eliminating plastic bottles. That would make a huge dent in our CO2 emissions and have a great impact on the environment. And also, it's a lot easier. Because right now with plastic bottles, they are inconvenient because you have to buy them. They're inconvenient because you have to take them home and store them. And welcome to Reb, joining us from Gozo. Thank you very much for joining us, Reb. And if you have just joined us, I can see a few of you online now. Please do just say hi in the comments and questions below. And as we go along, you'll be able to ask any questions you want to. So we have the BCRS scheme, which causes a few difficulties. We have to buy our plastic bottles, we have to take them home, then we have to take them back to a machine to get our deposit back. It's a load of hassle. And that's why a water filter essentially makes your life easier, because you no longer have to use plastic bottles for drinking water. And that is, after all, our mission here in Malta, to eliminate plastic bottles for drinking water in Malta. And the reason this started, why I started in Malta in the first place, was I actually bought one of these filters. This is the EcoPro. This is what I bought. I put it on my tap in my little apartment in Slima, and it worked. It was great. I had used reverse osmosis before. I'd used a ceramic filter before. I was surprised by this because I was looking for a sustainable option. So I didn't want like a water jug where you just keep throwing away the filters all the time and you keep having to buy them because they only do like 150 litres or stuff like that. So I didn't really want that. I wanted something that was sustainable, where you weren't throwing away plastic, even if it is made of plastic, that you weren't throwing away plastic all the time. And in fact, that's why I ended up with the TAPP EcoPro. I used it on my tap for a couple of months, and then I asked TAPP Water in Barcelona if I could distribute the product in Malta, because actually I figured it'd be a lovely thing to do, and I wanted to do it, and it would help. So if you have just joined us, thank you very much. We're going to be talking about this, the TAPP EcoPro. This is how to make life easier in Malta, to take away at least some of the stress with some of the things we have to cope with here. If you have just joined us, please do comment in either on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube or Twitter. Say hi. Ask any questions you want to at any time, because that's what I'm here for, is to answer your questions, all about making life easier in Malta by eliminating plastic bottles so that you just don't have to deal with them. It's not about recycling is bad or anything like that. Recycling is great. But if we didn't have to recycle in the first place, it'd be much better. BCRS does a wonderful job at recycling the plastic bottles, even if we find it inconvenient. Inconvenience is great because it leads to consumer change, consumer behaviour change. So let's change our behaviour and not use plastic bottles in the first place because we don't need to. So let's talk about this. This is the TAPP EcoPro. This is a water filter that you fix to your kitchen mixer. So when the water's coming through here directly, it's not filtered. If you switch like that, then the water is filtered and it's through here. It's going through an activated carbon block, which I'll show you in a minute, and it is filtering over 100 different contaminants. And the first question I always get asked, and please, if you've got any questions, just pop them in the comment box, either on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube or Twitter, and I'll get around to answering your questions. So an activated carbon block is what is filtering over 100 different contaminants from your water filter. And the first question people ask me is, what does it taste like? And so the best answer to that is, I don't know, try it and then tell me whether you like it or not. So we actually offer a guarantee. So if you'd like to try it in your homes and try the taste of tap water and see whether you like it, because taste is really important. And in fact, when I was talking to the founder of TAPP Water not so long ago, we did a live session back in September for the European Sustainable Development Week. When the founders first set up TAPP Water, their key consideration was taste. It was absolutely vital that the filtered water tastes good, because if not, the whole of the mission of TAPP Water, which is to eliminate plastic bottles used for drinking water throughout the world, not just in Malta, our little job is just here in Malta, the whole mission relies on the water that you're drinking out of your tap tasting good. Now, frankly, in Malta, most people would say that the water does not taste good. And there has been some research over the years, done several times, that the reason people don't drink the tap water in Malta is because it doesn't taste very good. Even if it meets all of EU standards and WHO standards and it's tested regularly, etc., 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 it doesn't taste good, so therefore people don't drink it. So therefore they rely on these plastic bottles. We don't think plastic bottles are a very good idea because obviously they're not very good for the environment, and now even more so, they're more expensive and they cause a load of hassle. Because even worse, you have to collect all of them and then drive to your local station to find that maybe it's full, maybe it's not, and then go back and all that kind of stuff. So this is just complicated. So it won't eliminate everything that you may have to take to BCRS, for instance, but if the majority of what you take to BCRS is plastic bottles for drinking water, this is a solution, just makes life a whole lot easier. So let's have a look at this in a little bit of detail here. So here it is. This is the actual water filter. You can see these numbers on the top, and this is just a manual reminder of when to change the filter. So you just turn this, and it's got a number for each of the months. So 12 is December, 1 is January, 2 is February, and you just change it so that it reminds you when to change the filter. And there's a line here. So you'll be able to see that when this is on your kitchen mixer. So the attachment is really simple. This whole thing, the TAPP EcoPro, is in two parts. So I can remove it like this. So these are the two parts. This is the valve, and this is the housing that contains the filter unit. I forgot to do that. Sorry about that. So let me put that together. It's really easy to put together. You just put the two parts in together with the filter facing towards you, and then just twist upwards. To take it off, you twist downwards. Now you won't have to do that very often. You'll be able to fit it to your tap either with or without this piece on it, and it's really easy to do. Let me show you that. Here's a kitchen mixer. So let me just show you the kitchen mixer that I've got here for you. Here's a kitchen mixer. It's a bog standard, absolutely standard kitchen mixer. This one has got an aerator in it, and most mixers should have an aerator in them, and that's always removable for cleaning. So let's just unscrew this, and this is all you have to do to fit it. You just take the aerator off, and this is a standard aerator. If you fitted a coin to the top, it'd be a euro that sat on it, and this is just a standard aerator, and all you have to do is replace the aerator with an adapter. And I'm sorry, I'm out of camera there. So here's the adapter. So you replace it with your adapter, and then this is how you're looking at the water filter now. The adapter. The adapter is now in place of the aerator, and that's essentially the same with virtually any type of mixer that you're using. And then all you're doing is attaching to the kitchen mixer to the adapter like this, and it just screws on. So this is the water filter now attached to your kitchen mixer. So here it is attached to your kitchen mixer. You can have it on either side, whichever way you want. If your mixer's high enough, like a gooseneck, you can actually have it at the back, and it just sits there. Now you'll see that it's not actually removing that much space from your sink. So the depth of this is just about an inch, something like that. So thank you, Gertrude, for your question. Please do ask any questions as we're going along. That would be really useful so that we can answer them. Does the adapter come with the filter? Absolutely. Yeah, so the adapter comes with the filter in the box, and we supply as standard the M24, M22 adapter. So just to explain, most European taps are M24 or M22. This here is an M24. So this size here is an M24, and what's on the tap is an M22. So this adapter is a reducer, essentially, which reduces it from M24 to 22. Now, there are other types of mixers around, and for instance, we have these two types of adapters here. Let me just put those on the side. I'll keep the water filter because we'll come back to the map. So this is an adapter, for instance. You can see the threads are on the inside of this. So this would fit on a mixer that's got threads on the outside. You get something like that. And then sometimes we use things like this, which we also supply. And this is just a longer version of this adapter. It's the same size, it's just longer. And some mixers will need that kind of filter. So thanks very much for your question, Gertrude. I really appreciate that. If anyone has got any other questions, please do ask them as we go along. So that's the fitting. Basically, whatever kind of mixer you get, you're replacing these type of things, which is the aerator. They will always remove. And we also have things like this. This is an aerator key, which you can use to change off mixers that are fairly standard. And also we have bubbler keys, which are slightly different because they go up from the base. So yes, please do ask any questions if you're joining us live, and thank you very much for joining us. We are live on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitter, so you can ask questions on all of those platforms. So this water filter, inside there is a water filter which does the work. So let's have a look at that. Excuse me. So to remove it, all you would do is untwist this from the base. So if I show you that, you'll see these wings. That's just for gripping it, and you just unscrew it. It's nice and easy, and then the water filter itself is actually inside here. Now this plastic casing, this gets reused all times. So we actually, when we went from reusing these plastic cases, because a couple of years ago they supplied it with each filter, it reduced the plastic consumption by 80%, which was amazing. So all you do to change your water filter is you open the casing, and this is the thing that does all the work. So this is an activated carbon block inside. I'm actually going to show you one without the cover. This has got a cover to protect it. It inhibits some of the dirt getting on it, and also acts as a sort of large particle filter. There's a strainer mesh inside there as well, which you can see that also acts as a sort of gross filter. And very importantly, when you change it, there is a seal inside here. It's always important to make sure that stays in. If you do lose it, then we will replace that for you, because it's not going to filter without that seal. So always keep that in place. So all you do to change the filter, you change it yourself, you're fitting it yourself, and you're changing it yourself. It's really easy to do. That's all you've got to do. You pop that back in the water filter, and there you go. You don't have to take it off the kitchen mixer to replace your filter. You'll be able to do that directly yourself. So let's have a look at what's inside one of those filters. So this is the sort of cut section of the filter. I can't get the light to shine in the center of it, but there's actually a hole in the center there. So these are hollow, and then this is the activated carbon around it, and then this is the seal. Now you can see this, the polypropylene layer. You can see that this is a little bit dirty, and in fact, here's another one. This is one of my favorite used filters from Baumler. It's got a really nice color to it, which shows the filter is doing its job. Here's quite a new filter, and you can see how much lighter it is. So you can see the filter doing the job just by looking at the polypropylene layer. And here's what's inside. This is a bigger version of it, and you can see the hole in the middle. So this is activated carbon. This is really interesting material, actually. If you took a gram of this activated carbon and you rolled it out, it would be the size of a football pitch, something like that. So in a very small space, it's got a very wide, a very big surface area. And in fact, that's really important for water filtration, because one of the first ways that activated carbon filters your water, and it does it in two ways. The first way is by ions and electrons or molecules rather than electrons, adhering to the surface, so sticking to the surface. So this is called adsorption rather than absorption. Adsorption means the contaminants will stick to the surface, and this is very good for removing chlorine. In fact, that's how chlorine is filtered. It's because the chlorine ions will stick to the surface of the activated carbon. And it does that because activated carbon is hydrophobic, so it rejects water and attracts contaminants. So things like heavy metals will adhere to the surface. So that's the first way that it filters your water. The second way is because it's got holes in it, so porosity. And the size of the holes is somewhere between 1 and 2 microns. So it's very interesting, again, this material, because it's got different size pores in it. So the highest rated pore is going to be 2 microns. That's going to be the largest. So somewhere between 0.5 and 2 microns is the average pore size inside an activated carbon block. And that means it is removing lots of different contaminants at different levels. So the larger contaminants, which is, let's say, up to 2 microns, which is not very big because it's 2 millionths of a meter. So even a human hair, for instance, is much, much bigger than that. Bacteria is caught below the 2 micron level, or a lot of bacteria, not all of it actually, about 99.5% is below the 2 micron level. And lots of other contaminants are all caught up in the 0 to 2 microns. So because it's a very efficient water filter, activated carbon, and it's made out of coconut blocks. So it's made out of a renewable resource, it's not fossil-based, and they are in fact coming from Indonesia, from a very large sustainable manufacturer of activated carbon block water filters. Now, after you've used them, when you've dried them out, obviously, you can put them in your socks to reduce odour, put them in your shoes and stuff like that. And you can also grind them up and use them in gardens as a mulch. and use them in construction materials and all sorts of things like that. Currently, at the moment, to dispose of them, if you weren't going to do any of that, excuse me, you would have to put them in the black bag. That's not an ideal situation for us. We would like to be a zero waste solution as much as possible. And there are some developments along that line coming in the coming months. However, 4 of these, compared to 1,000 plastic bottles, is a big difference. So, what's the capacity? There's one other thing in the filter that I should tell you about. If you listen to that, these are not percussion instruments. That is actually ionization beads. So that deals with the lime scale. So what's interesting about that is instead of removing the calcium, which you actually want because it's a healthy mineral, instead of removing that, it deionizes the lime scale, calcium carbonate. It deionizes the calcium carbonate, so it doesn't actually stick to things. So you'll see greatly reduced lime scale in kettles, coffee machines, and such like things. So that's the 5 levels altogether of water filtration that we have in here. You've got this outside layer, that's 1. You've got the mesh in the middle, that's 2. You've got the ionization beads, that's 3, and then 2 ways of filtration in the activated carbon. So I can see some other people have joined us. Thank you very much for joining us. If you would like to make any comments or just say hi, make any questions, please do just pop your questions in the comment box, and then I will be able to get to them. So thank you for doing that. Just pop your questions in the box. So we have done the type of filtration. It's been independently tested, and that's an important thing. We actually sent water from Malta to Barcelona to have it independently tested in a separate lab to tap water. And we did that because here in Malta we couldn't find all the tests we needed. We could find quite a few of them, but not all of them. So chlorine levels were tested before transport, and then after transport we tested over 100 other contaminants which are certified to be filtered from this filter. And they are things like, for instance, herbicides, pesticides, fluoride, heavy metals, arsenic, microplastics are very much an up-and-coming discussion for people in water filtration and also people interested in staying healthy, because microplastics are entering both our food and water systems because of the pollution. So we've done a separate live on that. So microplastics are filtered out. And also things like antibacterials, pharmaceuticals, and all sorts of things like that. So over 100 different types of contaminants. Probably of greatest interest to people in Malta are nitrates, nitrites, and THMs. All these 3, and ammonia, I hasten to add. 4 things. So all of these are contaminants in the water that have been written about over, let's say, the last 5 to 10 years. Water has improved. I've been in Malta for 14 years, and water has definitely improved in quality over 14 years. However, it was only a few years ago that THMs were brought up. THMs are trihalomethanes. THMs are what happens, basically it's a compound that is created because of chlorination. So chlorination occurs, we need to chlorinate water to make it safe for drinking, after reprocessing it with reverse osmosis systems, which is how we get our water. So 60% of our water is RO water and 40% is groundwater. That's a blend. And the blended system, the blended water afterwards then has lime and chlorine added to it. So when you add chlorine to water, you then get a reaction sometimes with organic compounds, which then creates these things called trihalomethanes. Trihalomethanes are nasty things. You don't want them really at all in your water. The levels in Malta have decreased dramatically since the first articles came about high levels of THMs in Maltese waters that were linked to high cancer rates, bladder cancer in particular, and the two European nations with the highest level of THM contaminants and the highest level of bladder cancer incidents were Cyprus and Malta, and these two things were linked by the researchers. So it is a better situation now. In the independent test results that we did when we tested the water before and after filtration, which we sent to Barcelona, the level of contamination of THMs was actually relatively low. The reduction rate for filtration with these activated carbon filters is around something like 95% that's been tested. So you're reducing contamination by THMs by a very large amount. So THMs was one of the things. Nitrates is the other. Nitrates and nitrites, that's because we use groundwater as part of our water source. So 60% RO, 40% groundwater. The RO percentage is increasing all the time, every year. That's because the groundwater is reducing. Groundwater has got quite a lot of nitrate contaminant in it from the agriculture. And it takes a long time to resolve that kind of issue. There has been lots of movements towards resolving that, but it takes many years. I read somewhere that it's like 40 years between water landing on the soil and getting into the aquifers. So that's a long time to make any changes. So nitrates are filtered out by an activated carbon filter such as this, and the nitrate reduction on tap water filters is somewhere around the 90% level. As is heavy metals, rust, sediment, all sorts of things like that, all reduced by the water filter, or filtered out to a level of between 90 and 95%, depending on exactly what it is. So THMs, nitrates, nitrites, and microplastics. Those are the things that are interesting, apart from chlorine, obviously. And chlorine, the elimination rate is like 99%, something like that. So when people ask, what does it taste like? We always say, well, try it, tell me what you think. If you don't like it, we return it. Yeah, we collect it and give you a full refund. And we're confident about doing that because with 3,000, actually just over now, over 3,500 households using tap water products in Malta, there is a return rate of around 95%. So it's really easy for us to give the guarantee and say, try it. So I can see a few more people have joined us actually, which is great. Thank you very much for joining us. If you would like to make any comments or questions, please do so. And for those of you who have just joined us, the reason this water filter makes your life easier is because you don't have anything to do with plastic bottles for drinking water. So you can use this water filter in your kettle for drinking, pets, plants, babies as well, all that kind of thing. We often get asked whether it's safe for babies, and one of the answers to that is, well, if you would drink it, you would also want to make sure it's safe for your babies, and if you wouldn't give it to your baby, would you really want it yourself? The extra level that you'd be interested in for your baby is things like bacteria, and in fact 99.8% of bacteria is removed by the EcoPro. And that's a very good rate of bacteria reduction, but you actually don't have much of a problem in Malta, or we don't have much of a problem in Malta with bacteria in the water. The testing points, there are 5,000 tests done every year by Water Services Corporation and what they test is TDS, bacteria, nitrates and stuff like that. Quite often the nitrate levels are quite high. Still, well, below the, most of the time, they're below the legal limit, which is 50 milligrams per litre. But, you know, would you want to be at the 50 milligrams per litre, or do you want to be at the 10? Me personally, I'd rather be at the 10. So I'd be quite happy using a water filter, which filters out nitrates and filters out bacteria and removes the chlorine. Now, TDS. People do ask me about total dissolved solids. Total dissolved solids is a measure of water quality used mostly by the reverse osmosis industry because it's very impressive when you use a TDS test on reverse osmosis, because it goes from 500-600 plus that you might get in Malta down to 20 to 100, something like that, depending on the system you're using. So that looks very impressive, but it doesn't mean much because if you had good amounts of healthy mineral in your water, then you'd have a high TDS count. Total dissolved solids includes healthy minerals. So therefore, with a water filter like this, that leaves in all your healthy minerals, such as calcium, potassium, sodium, selenium, all that kind of stuff that you actually need in your bodies, we need in our bodies. This kind of water filter leaves all that in, so therefore TDS is an awful measure because, for instance, you'd be worried about THMs, trihalomethanes, but a TDS measure doesn't measure trihalomethanes because trihalomethane isn't a dissolved solid. So I've written an article and done a couple of lives on total dissolved solids. Awful test of whether you get good water quality or not. It's just not true. If you had a really good bottle of mineral water that you paid a lot of money for, and it was really good mineral water, it would have a high TDS count because it's got lots of minerals in it. So it kind of doesn't make sense. But it's very impressive if you do an RO system and you dip a 20 euro TDS meter. If you think a 20 euro TDS meter is going to really measure your water quality, then that's another thing to think about. It doesn't really. It just measures the electrical conductivity of the water, which conducts more electricity when you've got healthy minerals in it. So that's why we don't use TDS as a measure of water quality. That's why we've done an independent test, which has 100 plus contaminants being filtered out of the water. They last quite a long time as well, these filters. So this filter will do 1,200 litres of water. So 4,800 litres of water in your annual refill pack, which is 69 euros. So 69 euros gets you 4,800 litres of water, which is 2,500 plastic bottles at 2 litre, let's say, approximately. 1,250 euros in plastic bottles, or 69 euros in water filters, and a lot less hassle. So that's your cost every year, 69 euros for the water filters. The starter pack comes with one of these, plus an extra 4 filters, and that is now 119 euros. And for people who are here tonight, I have a special discount code for you, if I can find it. So, Live 64, L-I-V-E 64, because this is the 64th live session we've done. That'll give you 25% off the TAPP EcoPro annual packs and starter packs. So you can have just this with one filter. That's 59 euros, less 25%. I think that comes to 44.25, if I remember rightly. And the 119, less 25%, which comes to a bit more. So you can start with either this. That's 15 months of water that you get with a starter pack. And that's going to be one of these, plus an extra pack of 4 filters. And then next year, you just need 4 filters, which would cost you just 69 euros. And if you do subscribe and save, then you'll save an extra 10% off the filters next year. And also, you'll get a lifetime warranty on the EcoPro, on the water filter. So if any of the parts fail, then they're replaced for you for free of charge, because it's important that you keep using a filter and don't use plastic bottles. So the questions I often get is, does it fit my mixer? So what you can do is you can send us a picture of your kitchen mixer on WhatsApp on 998666142, and send us a picture on WhatsApp, and we'll be able to tell you if it's an easy fitting or if it's going to be complicated, and if it's complicated, can we help, and stuff like that. If you want to have a look at the tests on our website, so the independent test results that we had on the website, then just go to tapwater.mt/tests, and you'll be able to see the tests. If you want to know more about the filtration, how the filtration system actually works, the 5 stages that we went through before, then you can just do tapwater.nt/filtration. And if you'd like to read about our guarantee, then just /guarantee, and you'll be able to read about that. So, we are an online store, but if you don't like online shopping, and you'd rather either speak to a person or speak to a WhatsApp chat, then you can arrange an order on WhatsApp, and we can deliver and do cash on delivery or BOV mobile to mobile or anything like that. So thank you very much for attending tonight. It's been great to see you, and thank you for your questions. If you do have any final comments or questions, please do let me know in the comment box. I'll just take a sip of water. This is the Bottle Pro, by the way. This is the water filter. This is a water bottle with a filter inside. I'll just lift it up so you can see there's a filter inside here. So that's great to use all the time, and it's really great to use when you're when you're out and about and trying to avoid those plastic bottles that you buy when you're just popping into a cafe and stuff like that. So this is the Bottle Pro. This makes life a lot easier as well, because no need to get any plastic bottles as you go around and about. It's also great for work, schools, colleges, universities, hospitals, stuff like that. It's really great to have all the time, because it has a filter inside. It's the same filters we use in the Pitcher Pro. It's certified to remove 80 plus contaminants from the water, and it does leave normal tap water anywhere in Malta really great tasting. So maybe give that a go as well. So the offer that we have on at the moment, the 25% off, is just for the EcoPro. They are out of stock at the moment. We sold out again, which is a bit unfortunate, but there is a shipment on the way, and I'm told it will be with us for the 22nd of February. So we'll be delivering after the 22nd of February. This offer that we have, Live 64, 25% off, this closes on Wednesday. Today is Monday. You only have until Wednesday. So thank you for joining us tonight. And please do use your code before Wednesday. And I'm very grateful you've been here tonight to listen to how to make your life easier in Malta. And I look forward to seeing you again next time. Thank you very much for your questions.